So when we have a trine, we have the energies flowing really well between the planets, and they're kind of like working in harmony. So when you think Mercury is the planet of our thinking and our communication and our perception as well of others, people quite often forget about that. Like communication is a two-way thing. So it's not just how well we communicate, it's also how we perceive others. And of course, Pluto is this deep planet that rules Scorpio. So like the depths and deep kind of like shadow work and deep emotional feeling. And
we know that you were born magical. We know that you are intuitive, and we know that you are brimming with everyday enchantment. Here at the Sisters Enchanted, we believe in intention, we believe in intuition, and we believe in everyday magic. Welcome in to the Expedition to Soul podcast. Think about what life would look like if you had the foundation to do the shadow work, understand where you're holding yourself back, and the confidence to bring some everyday magic elements into your life, follow your intuition, and know exactly the steps forward for you. Well, that's what we teach you and more in our Holistic Witchery program. Be sure to get on the wait list for Holistic Witchery. It's the one class we think everybody should take here at the Sisters Enchanted. It has changed so many lives and is at the core of all of our fundamental beliefs about who we are and how we propel ourselves forward in a way that makes great change for ourselves and those around us. Check out holisticwitchery.com, get on the wait list, and we can't wait to welcome you into class just as soon as enrollment opens.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Expedition to Soul podcast. Sarah Milne and I are back for another astrology forecast for your week ahead. Thank you for joining us today, and we're going to get right into it. So, hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you doing, Anna?
Oh, doing glorious. How about yourself?
I am very good, thank you. Yeah, it's nice and sunny, and yeah,
looks it.
Really
good. Here it's morning, so it's still like the gray sky is coming in. Where you are, you're like
yeah, we're kind of like lunchtime. Yeah,
the peak of your day.
Exactly.
So what's going on this week in the cosmos?
I am going to talk about Mercury trining Pluto. So when we have a trine, we have the energies flowing really well between the planets, and they're kind of like working in harmony. So when you think Mercury is the planet of our thinking and our communication and our perception as well of others, people quite often forget about that. Like communication is a two-way thing. So it's not just how well we communicate, it's also how we perceive others. And of course, Pluto is this deep planet that rules Scorpio. So like the depths and deep kind of like shadow work and deep emotional feeling and turning things inward, but also transformation. Pluto is the planet of transformation. So that means the two coming together is a time of real deep thought, deep communication. So get ready for some of those really, those deep and meaningfuls, really deep, but transformative as well. So don't shy away from those deep and meaningfuls, because this is a transformative, communicative energy as well. So that's what's going on in the sky. So shall I give you my 3 hot tips for dealing with this Mercury trine Pluto energy? I would say focus on that energetic flow between those two planets. It's the planet of your inner mind and the planet of your deep thinking and transformation. So focus that. Like we talk so much in the Sisters Enchanted about shadow work. This is such good energy for shadow work, because it's about really putting your mind into shadow work. Quite often, I mean, emotional feeling is really good, but sometimes we need some kind of intellect and mind action to actually get out of it. Sometimes we can do the shadow work and feel all the feels and just be like, oh, now I'm feeling all the feels again and I don't really know what to do. So this is a really good time to, if you've had a shadow work, ongoing shadow work where you've really kind of leaned into it and like, it makes me feel the feels, but I still haven't got my way out of this situation. I still don't know the answer. This is a really good time to, let's put my mind to this now, and let's just put some intellect into this, and let's leave that emotion for a bit and just take that Mercury, like pure intellect into this situation, what I need to do here. So that would be really, really good. Number two, I would work on use your powers of negotiation this week, because Pluto, of course, is all and Scorpio, it's all about power, like power over others and other people's power over us. It's also in Pluto's realm. So this could be a good time to use that Mercury communicative ability to negotiate. So if you have any negotiation situations that you need to go into, this is the week to do it. But remember, as we always say in these astrocasts, everybody else is also going to have this heightened energy. But your head start is that you know. So you know to use it. They don't so necessarily know to use it. But also be aware that people might be having extra negotiating strength with you as well. And the last thing I would say is get your deepest thoughts up and out. Like really, it's not so much like necessarily shadow work where you've really got to look at those things that you need to leave behind, but just your deep ideas and your deep thoughts. Get them up and out. This is a really good week for journaling, exploring your thoughts through art, and anything like that can really help you get those thoughts and communications out. So yeah,
I am like over here kind of laughing to myself because as you're speaking, I have the card pull for the week ahead in my hand, and it is so just on point to everything you said. Like, it was making me laugh. So today we have the Three of Swords and the Magician.
Wow,
So,
perfect.
yes.
Goodness me.
Yes, goodness. So the Three of Swords. So a lot of folks see the Three of Swords and they're like, the Three of Swords. Oh no, the worst, heartbreak. But one of the things to remember, and especially as you were just listening to Sarah say, that communication is so important when it comes to Mercury, and especially when we have this like trine with Pluto, because Pluto is deep connections, deep passion, deep feeling, like really connected, and trying with Mercury, which has this very like Gemini-esque energy. Mercury in mythology is a communicator, a messenger. And how sometimes people, I think that when folks read tarot or they see tarot cards, they threw the Three of Swords and they're like, oh, this really hurts. And they feel empathy with the person on the card and like physical and pain. But to remember that the sword suit is air, and because it's air, it is connected to our thoughts and our way of thinking and our communication. And I love this depiction of the Three of Swords specifically because yes, this has happened and she looks like she's taken, she has taken injury, but it is very shadowy around her. And she's also looking at it like, it doesn't look like she's not on the ground. She doesn't look like she's in pain. She's kind of like, this has happened. And oftentimes when we are in a feeling of sadness, we dwell on the sadness and then we can't remove ourselves from the sadness. Our thought processes tend to be our worst enemy, and we focus on the hurt that we just had, or the communication that didn't go well, or the communication we thought didn't go well. And then we perpetuate that into thinking we just had a bad conversation and now we're feeling bad and now we're hurting. And a lot of times it's just either miscommunication or that we've just overanalyzed it so much that it has now turned into something that it didn't need to be. So I think when you're talking about communication and deep connection with Pluto, to make sure that your communications are very clear this week, and that if you have spoken and you didn't feel like you were heard, or vice versa, because like Sarah said, it's a two-way street always, to be like really clear that hurt my feelings, or I'm feeling very hurt, and then trying to speak your truth so that you don't dwell on it and make that hurt bigger, because then you're perpetuating the shadow, which we don't want to do, because then you get stuck in like a hole. And then I laughed because I had the Magician. I was like, the Magician. But then I was listening to Sarah's second tip for the week about like negotiations and things. And I don't know if you can see, but this Magician, he's kind of doing like the sleight of hand situation. So the cups that usually have something underneath it that they move around, and you have to pick which cup has something underneath it, is kind of what this person is doing, and that they're juggling like the pieces that have to go underneath the cups. And the thing about the Magician is they have so much power. They know what they have, all the tools they have to just do the things. And also I feel like the Magician is very mercurial also in energy, because sometimes the Magician is being very like Here's the thing. But sometimes it's very Wizard of Oz and who's that man behind the curtain, you know, where there's a little bit of like trickster energy behind the magician. And I think that it's interesting that this one's very focused and is doing so many things at once, and that you're capable of doing many things at once if you stick your mind to it, you don't cloud your own judgment, and that you can navigate situations appropriately when needed at this time. And because Sarah said it's a good week for negotiations, it just made me laugh that this magician is having kind of a sleight of hand and kind of negotiating. And maybe it's a call to action to be weary of other people's communications to you. Making sure that they're being honest to you at this time. And it's not just a power play, because that is something that Pluto will do. And even though something's trine and that means that the energy is flowing, doesn't mean that it's always flowing for like the highest, you know, outcome. And you always have to be just conscious of that shadow side and make sure that if you are having a power exchange conversation with somebody, that you're both having each other's best interests at heart and not one person is trying to make the power play, which is a very Plutonian energy. So
definitely.
Cards this week. 3 of Swords, the Magician.
I love it. I love it.
So
yeah,
it feels like a very powerful week.
It does indeed. It does. So I think the overall tip is really to kind of like really be mindful like of those power plays, and that kind of like that you are making the most of it. So make the most of this energy where you could kind of like gain some power that's you need in the right way when it's for everybody's interests and everyone's interests at heart, but be mindful of other people's power plays, and also that you're not making a power play that will not serve somebody else well.
It feels very I'll stop after this, but it feels very like Loki energy, like because in mythology Loki does like a lot of things, and oftentimes he's like doing trickery because people, like the folks around him, are like, we need to have an outcome, like we need to have a solution, and so he like does some sort of trickery. And then the trickery goes awry because the power play is played wrong. And then somebody gets hurt in the end or somebody loses something. And it's just this kind of dance of like, are we doing things for the right reasons? Are we doing things because it's in our best interest, but we've forgotten about the interests of others? And that can be a really hard thing, because oftentimes when we're trying to assert ourselves and say like, this is how I'm feeling, sometimes that is a very powerful thing to do, but we can oftentimes forget, like, are we taking away somebody else's power when we do this? And what's the best way to navigate the situation where like we're not leaving somebody slighted at the end of the day? So good stuff this week, Sarah.
Yes, very good stuff.
So I think that that's it for this week. Anything in wrap up, Sarah?
No, just that, like I said, be mindful of that power play and like use this energy. Don't waste it, because it is really powerful, but use it in the right way and be wary of other people that could be using it in the wrong way also.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Expedition to Soul podcast. And we hope that you enter this week ready and prepared for some shadow work and communication. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
If you liked this episode of the Expedition to Soul podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it will really help us spread everyday magic, intention, and intuition to the masses, and helps us so much as a small business. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. There are new episodes every Tuesday and astro forecasts for the week ahead every Friday. If there's any topics you'd want to hear, anything you want us to dive deeper into, shoot us an email at magic@thesistersenchanted.com. And as always, thank you so much for listening and being part of the community here at the Sisters Enchanted. And we'll see you in the next episode.